Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about how you should determine the cost of your products. So if you're interested in seeing how I figure out the price of all of my products, keep watching. Alright guys, so the way I figure out the price of all of my products is by looking into three different things. The first thing being how much all of the supplies cost to make your product. The second thing being packaging and the shipping cost of your products. And the third and final thing that I look at, that's probably the most important, that I think a lot of us may overlook, is the time and labor that you should be charging for your products. So to figure out the cost of all the supplies that you use to make your product, you're going to need to add up the cost of all the supplies that it takes to actually make your product, but you're going to want to keep it as accurate as possible. So you need to keep in mind that you need to break it down so that you can figure out what it costs per product. For example, when I used to make my own stickers, I had to buy the sticker paper, the laminate that went on top of the stickers to protect them and make them waterproof, and then the ink for my printer to actually print out my stickers. So in context of my stickers, what I mean by making sure that your supply cost is accurate is I would break it down so that I could figure out the actual cost per sticker. So you need to make sure that you're doing the math to figure out your actual cost per item. A little pro tip for you guys, make sure that you're not buying all of your supplies from big vendors or retailers like Michael's and Hobby Lobby, and try to buy as many supplies as you can from distributors, suppliers, warehouses, people that sell your supplies wholesale so that you can get the best deal on your supplies, but just make sure that you are not sacrificing quality by getting the cheapest. The next thing that you're going to figure out is all of your packaging and shipping costs. So still using my sticker example, the packaging cost for my stickers would be the cost of my little thank you cards that I send with all of my stickers, the little card stock that I put inside this clear packaging sleeve, and the cost of the envelope that I mail the stickers in, or the cost of the bubble mailer if I'm mailing out something else that they ordered on my website. And then you're gonna actually add in your shipping cost if you're not charging for shipping. And obviously, if you're not charging for shipping, you're going to want to include that in your shipping cost. So let's say you offer free shipping on your website, so you're gonna want to account for the shipping cost of each item, so you aren't out money just because of shipping. Now for me personally, I do charge shipping, so I don't need to account for the shipping cost. I only account for the cost of the packaging, even the cost of the label paper that I print all my shipping labels out on are included in that cost. And the final thing that you need to figure out, which is probably the hardest to kind of figure out, is what you're gonna charge for your time and labor per product. Now, when I first started, I definitely struggled with this because when you first start a small business, you're just excited to get an order at all. And it's kind of hard to figure out what your time and labor is worth. When you're new to the game, you really don't know how to run business yet. You don't know what your labor is worth. So trust me, I get it. But the best advice that I can give to you is you need to treat this like a regular, real hourly job. And what I mean by that is most of us start a small business because we need the extra money. So we start a little side hustle and then it kind of develops into a small business. Or we want to quit our full-time jobs to be able to work at home because of our kids. We want to make more money for ourselves, have our own schedule. Whatever the case is, a lot of us want our small business to end up being our full-time job. So with that being said, you need to make sure that you are setting your business up for success by being able to afford to pay yourself out. So you need to think about how much do you want to get paid per hour of working on that. So for me, when I first started, I still had a full-time job. So I just looked at it like I wanted to get paid more than I got paid at my full-time job so that eventually it would be worth it for me to quit because I could say, oh, I'm making more. I get paid more an hour working for myself. And that was the way I could justify and figure out when it was time for me to quit my full-time job. So at my full-time job, I'm gonna be completely transparent with you guys. I worked in a high school office. I was a bookkeeper / secretary, and I made a little over $13 an hour. So when I started my small business, I started my rate at $15 an hour because that was more than what I was making at my full-time job. So I felt like that was worth it. But since then, because I have grown, I have the quality, the testimonies and reviews to back up my products. Now I can afford to charge more because I know I'm going to continue to get those sales because I have built a customer base for my small business. So with all that being said, now you're ready to add up the cost of your supplies, the packaging, the shipping, and whatever you decided on for your time and labor. You're gonna add all those up, and that is not the final cost of your product. That is like the bare minimum that you should accept. Maybe if you're first starting out, that's a good starting point, but I recommend taking it a step further, taking that price, keep that in the back of your mind, and then go do your research. And what I mean by that is you want to go on Etsy and compare your products to other successful shops' products that are similar to yours. So like I said before, when you first start, you really don't know what's a good starting point. But I think once you figure out the actual cost of your product, that's a great starting point. And once you do the research, then you can kind of figure out what the cheapest price is and the highest price is. And what I recommend is you need to be somewhere in that happy medium. You don't want to be the highest, because when you first start out, you don't have the testimony, the reviews, the orders to back up that price that you're charging. But on the other hand, you don't want to be the lowest, because then people will think that your product is not as good as this product and your stuff is probably cheap quality, and they're going to get what they paid for, and they're going to associate your shop with cheap products. So that's why I recommend being somewhere in the medium, so that you're not the most expensive, but you're not the cheapest. Now, some of you may argue that you want to price as low as you can go so that you can afford to be competitive and get more orders, because the cheaper your stuff is, the more orders you're going to get. But that's not necessarily true. And also, you don't want to attract those types of customers that want to pay you the lowest price possible for your time and effort. You want the customers that are going to pay this price point because they value your products. They are going to be returning customers. But with all that being said, you want to take in consideration that your competitors obviously have different supply costs than you do. They may be on some special site where they get discounted shipping labels, or maybe they order from a direct wholesaler and they have a special deal with them because they order such large quantities that their supply costs may be way lower than yours, and they can afford to price their stuff low because their supply cost is really low. So don't sell yourself short just by trying to keep up with your competitors. Now, I've also heard that you're supposed to add up your product costs, your time and labor, the packaging and shipping, all that good stuff, and then to get your wholesale price. So if you're selling your products to local boutiques or stores, to figure out your wholesale price, you take the cost of each product and you multiply it by 2, and that is going to be your wholesale price. And then to figure out your retail price, what you charge on your website or Etsy shop or whatever, you take your product cost and you multiply it by 4. Now, I agree with this to an extent. There are some things where I think maybe the time and the labor don't really equal out. So for example, let's say that you draw things on your iPad and you upload those designs to your Etsy to sell digital downloads. Obviously, your product cost is going to be way different than someone that actually hand makes an item, because you don't actually have any supply cost that goes into designing. You would just be charging your time and labor for sitting there drawing out your design. Now, still using this example, let's say that you want to get paid $20 an hour and it took you an hour to draw a design. You're not going to multiply $20 an hour by 4 and charge $80 for a digital download on your Etsy shop. Even though it took you an hour to draw, the labor and the supply cost doesn't add up in comparison to someone that hand makes an item. With that being said, I've personally bought a ton of designs off of Etsy from artists that sell their digital downloads on there. And typically I pay $2 to $6 per design. So obviously they're not charging an hourly rate. They don't have any cost that goes into designing that. They know that they only have to design this one time, upload it to Etsy, and it can sell 1,000,000 times, and they'll basically be making passive income without any work whatsoever. So they price accordingly. So that's why I say I don't always agree with the multiply by 2 for your wholesale price and multiply by 4 for your retail price, because I do think it is circumstantial to what you're making and how you're selling it. Now, with all that being said, I want to give you guys one last piece of advice. You obviously want to keep in mind that you want your small business to grow, and in order for your small business to grow and be successful, you need to be charging enough to not only pay for the cost of your supply so you're not out any money, but also making enough so that you can pay yourself out so that it's worth it for you. And you want to be able to make enough so that some of that profit can go back into your business to upgrade it. For example, maybe you want to eventually expand your shop and make a bunch of different products. You're obviously going to need extra money to buy all the supplies that you need to be able to make new products. Maybe you make stickers and you want to buy a really good printer so that you can make really good quality stickers. Maybe you want to make t-shirts, so you want to buy a sublimation printer or a new heat press. You want to be able to make enough money so that you can put money back into your shops so that you can continuously upgrade your small business and possibly attract new customers, because then that just leads to more money to grow your small business even more by paying for a website. Maybe you want to pay someone to design a whole new website so that it looks great and professional. Maybe you want to start paying for ads on Facebook or Instagram. Whatever the case is, you need to be paying yourself out and your small business needs to be making profit so that you can continue to upgrade it to make more money. All right, guys, so hopefully this video was helpful to you. As always, if you have any questions or comments, just drop a comment down below and I will get to your questions for you guys. If you like this video, please let me know that you liked it by giving me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to click that subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on any other crafting tutorials or small business tips and tricks.